So welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to share with you how you can create your own DIY rustic pumpkin using a painting technique that's so simple, but the end result is really very rustic and very attractive. So the first thing that I did, we all see these pumpkins. They're typically orange and they come in a variety of sizes. This is the medium size. You can get the small size or you can buy a larger one. And you can often find these at thrift stores, which is actually where I found these two. And you can pick them up relatively cheap. They're typically orange. But what I did for the sake of the video is I went ahead and I've already chalk painted our orange pumpkin white. And I'm going to share with you the chalk paint that I used. This part of it is self-explanatory. You just simply take a paintbrush, chalk paint, you paint your pumpkin, you paint it all the way around, paint the bottom, and you're done. So for the sake of the video, I didn't think it was necessary to share with you how to paint a pumpkin because that's very, very simple. And you know, I didn't want the video to last 2 hours. So the video, I've already painted the pumpkin white, and I used this Waverly Inspirations chalk white paint that I purchased from Walmart. If you have a chalk paint that you favor, you're welcome to use that as well, but you do want to use a white chalk paint. Then the important part is this Americana Decor cream wax, and I got it in deep brown, and I purchased this actually from Home Depot. And I think you can find it at craft stores, but here locally, I actually had to go to Home Depot to find mine. This and the chalk paint are the two things that you're going to use, the two ingredients to create your rustic pumpkin. When you are finished, this is what your pumpkin will look like. Very aged, very rustic, very attractive. And it takes it from being a basic orange pumpkin or a white chalk pumpkin to a deep, rich, rustic look. And so this is what we're going to create today. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need your chalk paint, you're going to need your Americana cream wax. You'll just simply need a bowl and a paintbrush of some sort, because in this video, that's where I'm going to put the cream wax. But if you were going to start from scratch, you would need, of course, 2 ways to pour out your paint, and probably most likely you definitely would want more than one paintbrush. You would want one to paint it white and one to use for the cream wax. And then you just need some wax paper, a sheet of that, and then you want to use like a cloth of some sort. I actually just take old t-shirts and I cut them up. You're going to need that as well. And so what I'm going to do is get us set up so that we can begin our painting technique to create our beautiful, lovely, rustic pumpkin. Okay, so I have poured out some of our cream wax into our glass dish here. And I can tell you a little bit of this goes a long, long way. So when we start painting, you'll see that you can make this as dark as you want. You can make it as light as you want. You can make it as deep and rich as you'd like, or you can just do a faint look. But this goes a long way. So the other thing that you want to do, by the way, with your cloth, you want to dampen one end of it. And the best way to do this without getting it soaked, because you don't want it saturated, is to just take a spray bottle with some water in it and spray it and mist it. And then that way it gives it just enough moisture and liquid on there for the technique that we use after we've painted the pumpkin. But you don't want that to be saturated with water because it'll just wash everything off. So we're going to get started. Now, one thing I will tell you is that for the sake of the video especially, I'm just going to paint the top of the pumpkin because I've shared with you the finished product here and what it looks like, and you can see I did do the bottom. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to do the top, and you'll have the concept, and then you can paint the bottom later. Because what you want to do is you want to paint the top of the pumpkin all the way down to about where it starts, and then you want to set it down on your wax paper and let it sit for a minute. And that technique I'm going to share with you. After this has dried a little bit, and it does dry very quickly and it's not tacky any longer, I take it and flip it upside down and put it inside of a cup, and then I do the bottom and I let it sit like that. But for the sake of the video, I think you all will have the concept, and that step will not be necessary. So the first thing you want to do is just take your paintbrush, lightly put a little bit of our cream wax on, and then you just want to go from the top of your pumpkin all the way down, and it's going to spread very, very thin, as you can see here. And you have to work with this very quickly because it dries very quickly, and you want to have time to adjust it to your liking. And this, the thing I love about this is that the imperfection is what makes it so flawless. That's the part that I really like, is that it's not perfect, and it does look rustic just as you would want it to if you were looking for a rustic pumpkin. So as you can see, I'm just going along the edge here where it almost meets the bottom of the pumpkin, because I don't want it to stick to the bottom when I set it down. So I'm not even going to get close to the bottom of it when I'm doing this. So I've done a little bit here, and then I'm going to move around. And what you want to do is you can continue to keep overlapping, because like I said, this goes a long way. And you want to saturate your brush for sure. As you can see, you want to get it nice and liquidy here, and paint, 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 paint. And like I said, this stuff does go very quickly. Now, you want to make sure that you do even strokes also. Of course, like I said, we love the fact that it doesn't look absolutely perfect. That's one of the things that makes it look really, really charming. But you can create some terrible blemishes and really poor tone if you let it start to dry and it gets chunky in the middle of where you're working. So you always want to start at the top if you're adding more of your cream wax, and work it down to the bottom. So as you can see, we have it a little heavier in some places, a little lighter in others. So we're just going to keep adding our other little layer here all the way around. The bottom is not touched. So I typically, my method is to go around my pumpkin twice with my cream wax, meet down where I dropped it off, and follow that technique all the way around once again. So you should technically have 2 coats, nice thin coats of your cream wax on your pumpkin all the way around. So I'm still working around on this side. I start up by the stem, work my way down. Okay, so now as you can see, I specifically did not go all the way down to the bottom. We shared why with that. So our pumpkin looks like this now. Nice and dark. You could actually, technically, if you wanted to, you could leave it that way. And I see one little spot here that I want to address. So I'm going to go back up to the top and work my way down and smooth that out. So you could actually leave it just like this if you wanted to. But what you do is you leave it sit for a few minutes. You take your damp section of your cloth and you begin wiping. And this is where you're going to get the option to really get it into the grooves of the pumpkin really, really nicely so that it really sits well in those deep grooves. And it will really give it a nice, beautiful, rustic, deep finish when you're done. See how we're doing that? We're working it around and we're leaving it dark in some places, light in other places. That's the technique that you want to use. And anywhere that you want it to stay really nice and deep and rich, that's an area that you just touch lightly. This wax gets very, very tacky. So that's why I say you have to make sure when you are doing this that you're using a damp cloth. If you don't, you're just going to end up with a big, sticky mess on your hands. So I like the top to be a little bit darker up here by my stem. So we're gonna leave that just like that. And then as you see, we're just gonna work our way down our pumpkin. Just like this. Isn't that turning out so nice and beautiful and rustic? And then after you've gone through and we've completed our technique here and you don't want it to be perfect. So if you see those imperfections, that's part of the deal here. You know, we're trying to create the look of a really imperfect rustic pumpkin. So as you can see here on the top, I've left it a little bit darker. And then around here, I've left it a little darker as it fades off to the bottom. And you can continue this method all the way around your pumpkin. And the more you wipe, the thinner the paint or the wax will get and adhere to the pumpkin. So we're going to go down here towards our bottom because we haven't touched the bottom of the pumpkin yet. And we're going to really get that nice and deep inside of there. So now, as you can see, we have a few areas here where we've left it nice and saturated. And we've got our nice deep grooves going. What you would do at this point, if you want to get to this look, is you want to then just continue to keep applying your wax. You would want to apply another layer of wax, and then I always flip over my rag. So you would go in, apply some more wax, start at the top, thin, 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 work your way down, and just keep doing this process as I'm doing right here. And then when you get to the bottom and you start working on the bottom of your pumpkin, you can blend it in so that, you know, nobody ever sees it when it's sitting anyway. So now this is going to be what I'm going to call, because I like the richness level that I'm at, this is going to be my finishing coat. Because I've achieved the look that I want. And if you wanted to continue to go for a lighter look, or you wanted to continue to go for, you know, a different look than what I am, all you would do is simply start wiping off, give it a second, and then simply start wiping off your wax with your damp cloth. And that's going to bring you to that perfect tone that you want. That's the other thing I love about this, is you get to tailor this to however you want. If you want a really deep, dark, rich, chocolatey brown with a little bit of cream, now we've hit the cream level versus white, stark white. You can do that. If you want a nice coffee color, you can do that. It's your pumpkin. And it's going to be in your home. So, as you can see here now, I have, and I, of course, as I said before, I'm not hitting down here at the bottom because I don't want it to stick. That's why you want to be sure to use wax paper or parchment. And keep working around on your pumpkin. And let's just say, and if you notice a spot, start at the top. My fingers got on that. Start at the top, work your way down. Don't ever start in the center, because if you do, then it's going to mess up your paint. You can start where you need it to be and then just start working your way down. And then I'm going to, just for the sake of the video, we'll see a little bit how much richer we can make this. I'm going to go ahead and start taking off a little bit more of the wax so that you can see how that works. And like I said, when you're doing this, if you're working it into, see the nice shape that that's taking? Isn't that beautiful? And this is so simple. You know, when you see people do these really complicated sanding and I don't know, that's just not for me. I admire and envy those people that can do that. But as I've said before here on this channel, I like easy, achievable, affordable. Those are all my motives. So look at this. We're taking shape so beautifully with our pumpkin. And if you want to, like I said, you just simply keep wiping, leave a little bit deeper in your grooves, wipe towards the bottom. This is a technique you can do whatever you want with. There's absolutely no rule here. Other than, of course, you have to use the right products. That's the only real rule. But outside of that, it is just 100%, you know, creating and making what you think is going to turn out to be the perfect rustic pumpkin for your fall decor. And like I said, if you see here where it's a little bit richer and darker, if you wanted to, you just keep wiping that down. And then if you decide you want to add a little bit more, you go back, you get out your wax, and you hit it again. And you just keep doing that. And then, as I said, the top here has a really nice, deep, dark, rich area at the top of the stem. So if you were to continue to keep adding paint or wax to your pumpkin, this is the look that you ultimately would end up with. And as you can see here, we've got some dark, we've got some light, we've got it kind of all over the place. You can also do just some dry brush strokes throughout. Just put a little bit on there and hit it with some wax. And that's what we're going to do, just to give you an idea here. Go back and add a little bit more of your brown cream wax to it. And I'm telling you, these turn out so beautiful. And they're perfect for, if you wanted to use them on a covered porch. I would definitely not suggest putting them outside in the rain, but certainly you can use them on a covered porch. I used these indoors last year, the one that I created, and it just looked beautiful. It was a really nice, unique, gorgeous, rustic look here. So we're going to hit this side with it here, as you can see. And like I said, don't worry about your bottom, because when you flip this over after it dries, sorry, the camera's shaking, you're going to smooth all of that in and make it nice and rustic. So as you see, the more we work with it, the more we are starting to achieve that look that we want. And then you can always continue to go around your pumpkin with your damp cloth and wipe it off. But when you're all done, if you were to leave this just as it is right now, it would dry, and it would dry a little bit lighter than it is currently, which of course is what happens with most paints. And then at the end, you will have this beautiful rustic pumpkin to add to your holiday decor for your fall decorating. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It is a wonderful technique that you can use. And as I said, it's yours to do what you want with. I did this very quickly to share with you the products and to share with you how to do it. And here is your end result. But tailor this to your desire, whatever it is that you want. If you want a pumpkin of this type of rusticness, I think there were 3 layers, and then I wiped it off and I let it dry. Once you've achieved the look you want here, that's when you're going to let it dry. It's no longer tacky and you can touch it and pick it up. You're just going to flip it over, and that's when you'll start working on the bottom. And I think it's beautiful. If you put this in a lovely fall wagon, absolutely adorable. You can put it on a mantle, you can put it on a bookcase, you can put it next to your fireplace on the floor, you know, flanking the front. You can do that. You could use 2 of them, put them on both sides, set them on some hay bales. There's endless possibilities with these. But rather than pay a fortune at, you know, some boutique shop that's going to sell you this rustic pumpkin, you know, for $60, create your own and create it to the look that you wish to have for your decor. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel. I have lots more in store for fall. Visit my video description for links to all my social media sites, my Instagram, my Pinterest, my business At Home with Zane Facebook page is on there. The At Home with Zane online store is there. So please be sure and check all of those out. Thank you all so much for watching, and get busy on creating your beautiful rustic pumpkin for the fall season.